Hey, what's up everyone? Jeremy here, and today we're going to talk about how to make sure nothing's going to happen to your website. It's pretty much the security of your website, but what we're talking about is backing up your website. And when you back up your website, what you are doing is pretty much saving all of the website's information in a separate location that will ensure that none of your data will be lost in the event of maybe a hacker or disgruntled user that just found a weak spot in your website that they're going to take advantage of, or maybe even you accidentally delete half of your website. Believe me, it happens. Performing one of these methods that I'm going to describe to you will prevent any of these situations. So the first method that I'm going to talk to you about is more of a manual method as opposed to the second, which is going to be an automatic method. Now what this requires is some kind of a file transfer protocol. An FTP is what they're called, and FileZilla is one I would personally recommend. What this does for you is allows you to transfer files to and from your website, and all this would require is a simple connection, which you would essentially log into, and it would list all your files on the right here. So before we jump into that, I'm going to actually show you where you can get a free copy of FileZilla, and it's going to be this first link, and you're going to want the client, not the server. And you go right ahead and let me make that a little bit smaller for you. But yeah, you just go ahead and go to their main website and you can download their client, and it's also available for these other systems as well. So anyways, once you download that, it's real simple. Open it up and go ahead and either type the IP address to your server, well, that specific place on the server, so your website, or you can simply use the website itself if you'd like, and then enter your username, whatever that would be, to log into your cPanel through your host, and then a password for that as well, and a port if applicable. Usually you don't need one, and just do a connection which would open up all your files over here. You're looking for a file called HTML public or public HTML, one of those, but and all your files will be on the right. And what you're going to want to do is copy all of the applicable files that are on your server that make up your website. So for instance, in a WordPress website, there would be 3 main folders that you would need to copy, and it would take a little while because it's a lot of stuff. I would recommend, after you download all your website's files, to then make a zip folder and put them in multiple places after you make copies of those, so there's no chance that you would lose them. For instance, maybe one on a USB, maybe one on a CD, possibly one on a cloud somewhere, like Dropbox or Google. Again, that will ensure, if anything happens, something's corrupt, etc., you're going to be okay still. Now, once you have your zip folders of your backed up websites, that handles half the battle. The other half is going to be all of the information in your database. And it might be a little daunting considering your database, but it's quite easy, and pretty much all you would do is go into your cPanel, and you want to find your PHP MyAdmin, which is on the main screen of your host through when you get to your cPanel. And once you get there, you just go to export. Once you find your database that you're exporting from, And what this is doing is pretty much when you select export, it'll give you the options to download a SQL file of all your database information. Now, database information will include many different things such as your pages, your posts, your comments on your website. The list goes on. So all these things need to be backed up, otherwise you're losing half your website essentially. And it's very easy, but I will mention to find your database, the easiest method, if you are not sure, if you didn't name it, or maybe you used a content management system that automatically named it for you, it is very easy to find this out. You can either go into your backup, which I don't like touching backups after they're made, so just go back to your files and open up, I'll give you the example for WordPress. Open up your files. There will be a specific file called wp-config, and this file will look something like this. And what this does is it connects with your server, so you can be able to send data to the database and get data from the database. But there will always be your database's name right here, and you always have to have this connection script for any website. It's just and they will look fairly similar, but a WordPress website looks just about identical to this one. So yeah, once you have your database's name, you can go ahead and find it inside of your phpMyAdmin on the left hand side over here, and just go ahead and export and download the SQL file, and you are good to go. Put multiple copies of this in different places, just as you did with your files that you zipped. And depending on how large your database is, you might want to zip that as well, but I don't know, usually it all depends. So alrighty, so anyways, this is a run through of how you can back up your website manually, and I would always recommend doing this, but most people, they like to not do things like this, or just like to have something automatic you don't have to worry about. That's what will bring us to method number 2. And let's go to Google really quick. And what I'm going to recommend works for content management systems. Even if you didn't have a content management system, you can embed the function in somehow, but that's just not secure. You should have a content management system. I've said this many times, but to each his own. What I'm going to mention are plugins that work for these content management systems, and the first one that I'm going to mention is a free plugin, extremely dependable, and it also allows automated backups to maintain up-to-date versions of your website. You really don't have to do anything. Just set it up, forget about it, you're good to go. It's known as UpDraftPlus, and I will leave the link below, as I always do. Now this plugin is, yes, extremely highly reviewed. It's been downloaded a few times, so it's yeah, definitely something to go to. You can see how simple the layout is just by glancing at this. You can see how simple the layout is, and it actually just walks you through it really nice, and everything's just real clean and it's real pretty. Alrighty. And the second plugin that I'm going to recommend, and we're just going to search for it right here, and this one, mind you, It's a premium plugin. It's just it's awesome if you can afford it, or if you're wanting to invest into it. I would definitely recommend. Its name is Vaultpress, and Vaultpress is a premium plugin, and it is actually created by the same team, Automatic, that created WordPress, and this team was led by a gentleman named Matt Mullenweg. He led many different plugins in this repository, but Vaultpress is probably one of my favorites personally. And it actually has a somewhat similar layout. But yeah, so this is just another option if you wanted to back up your website and could go the premium route. Both are extremely easy to install, and if you are not wanting to do it manually, this is pretty much your only other, well, realistic option without hiring somebody or spending money. Well, real money. This one is very inexpensive, and the other one is free, so definitely recommended, okay? And I want to add a little side note. When it comes to these plugins, you should be slightly skeptical on the stability of these plugins. And what I mean is, you're having something do this and you're not double checking, the errors. It might not, for some reason, be able to detect the errors, and it could be detrimental to your website. I would recommend performing some kind of a stability test periodically by running a mock-up of the website locally or something, and just to make sure that backup is not corrupt or anything. I hope through this video, though, you can see that ensuring the security of your website by maintaining proper backups is vital, and it could potentially cost you big. However, now that you have this information, now there really shouldn't be any reason why you're in such a situation. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video in our series on website optimization. Thanks, guys. Take care.